Yoga is an ancient system interested in an inquiry into the self. When we practice yoga, we're practicing self-awareness. We're trying to understand the nature of who we are, our patterns, our habits, our conditioning. So the purpose of yoga is to get us closer to that place of understanding. So we have lots of tools for doing that in yoga, and the one that people are most familiar with would be the idea of moving the body to bring us closer to sensations in the body and understanding our conditioning and our patterns. So we have the asana practice, which is the physical practice, the postures. There are lots of other tools which are probably not so well known in a yoga practice, so things like using the breath. The breath is a really good tool for being able to help us understand more about what is going on perhaps in our subconscious or in the physiology of the body, so it's a good indicator of health. It's also a good indicator of things like anxiety and stress, things we may be fearful of or more excited about. So the breath can tell us a lot of things, so becoming friends with the breath and starting to understand the breath in yoga can be a really useful tool for life. There are other tools, so for example meditation. Meditation will help us to learn more about the patterns of our minds and our habits, how we all have those natural things going on in the mind. We all have monkey mind, which is fed by our senses, and how through a meditation practice we may be able to engage with that differently, and not get so reactive and not react to what comes up so much, and maybe just to be able to take a step back and gain some distance from reacting so that we make more discerning choices in our lives. So that's the end game. It's easier to say that than actually do it. Some of the other tools that are maybe not so well known might be the use of sound in a yoga practice. So for example, chanting is a very traditional practice which can help people to find their voice and bring them into a lighter state of mind. And then there's also the study of ancient texts, so to become more aware of the philosophy and the psychology in yoga. But all of these things, the outcome is really to try and help us to get closer to what is going on in our own minds and with ourselves, get back to our true nature. So we have this concept in yoga, which is that we have this inner light, which is always there and it never goes away, we're born with it. And it can become masked, so almost like clouds or the fog coming in. And the layers of conditioning and just our busy lives, things that come in and take over day to day, they can cloud that light within us. And the idea of yoga is that we're doing certain practices, we're using various tools to try and disperse the layers, the fog, whatever you'd like to call it. So some people call it the veil that comes over. And we're trying to use practices that will lighten that so that we can get